Good morning and welcome to Coffee with Carol. This morning we're going to take a look at three different areas, and they're actually kind of on the outskirts of Sacramento. I'm hearing more and more about people moving a little bit out of the areas that are more congested. We saw that a lot in the pandemic, and it hasn't really stopped. So even though our market is shifting, we are starting to see and continuing to see areas that are in the outskirts that are really benefiting from people moving to Sacramento and looking for a little bit more space and to be out of that congestion. So right now we're going to take a look at three different areas. So the stats are in for August, and that's what we're looking at is the most recent sales activity that we have. So if you look at these different areas, and they are right on the outskirts of Sacramento, we've got El Dorado Hills, we have Lincoln, and we have Rocklin. And those are the three areas that we're going to look at today. Now, those are areas that maybe enjoy a little bit more space. They enjoy a little bit closer to the foothills, out of the busyness perhaps, but they don't necessarily need fire insurance. So as you get up further into the foothills, you will see that of course you need fire insurance and different costs are incurred by those homeowners. But we're going to stay down here in this area this morning. So let's look at this together. Let's look first, though, at what the total sales have been for the entire region. Now, when we talk about the region, we're talking about 4 counties. We look at Sacramento, Placer, El Dorado, and Yobo. So if you see right here, we actually have had an increase in pended sales. What you're looking at is 15 months of sales activity. The light green line are how many homes are on the market. The dark green line are the sales. So let's go all the way over here. This was June of last year, and you can see that we had tremendous sales activity. Things were flying off the shelf. We had a very active summer, and even coming into the fall, this was November, December. Now, January was low because there were not homes on the market. So January, February, March tends to be a little bit less because there's less available. And so you can see that we had definitely great sales during that time, and the pended sales were high, but then we started to take off with more inventory. So May, June, July, those were all great months as far as getting more homes on the market, which is what we needed. And then we had a little dip in activity as far as sellers listing their homes in August. Now, that could be a number of different reasons, kids going back to school, last vacation for the year, all kinds of things factor in. But we did have fewer homes on the market. But notice the red line, that's our pended sales. That number actually went up. So the market is still very good in Sacramento, still a lot of things going on. So buyers do have more choices right now, which is great. And sometimes having more choices means that you can negotiate on price and terms, but not always. Okay, so when we look at these three different areas that we're going to look at this morning, keep in mind that those sellers are in a little bit more of a controlling position because of the activity, because of how many people want to move to those areas. So it's really important that if you're going to write an offer, or if you're going to be a seller, you really should know your numbers, because that's what's going to determine pricing. Okay, so El Dorado Hills over the last 15 months, you can see that we used to have 60 homes on the market, and now we have 143. So absolutely, we have increased in our number of available homes, but notice the light green line and the dark green line. We still have good sales activity, okay? Maybe not as crazy as it was last year, but we still have, decent sales activity. This is the prices. So remember, these are averages, and so we don't always take this price per square foot and determine a price, but what we can do is look at the overall average. And so you can see that prices are still going up. They've gone up 5% on average over the last year. And we've got a little bit of a dip right here in August, but 1 month does not create a trend, okay? If your numbers are down for 1 month, that's nothing to worry about, because you have to look at the overall picture. But I will tell you that this does create a trend. We are seeing that sellers last year at this time were getting 105% of their asking price, and now they're getting 96%. Reason being, perhaps they're coming out of the chute overpriced, and they're having to make adjustments to be able to get that offer accepted. And this, remember, is in the 4-county region. This is not El Dorado. So it's taking 30 days for homes on average to sell. And so you definitely, it's going to take a little bit longer than it did last year to get that home sold. And that's giving buyers more time to be able to look at homes and look at all their options. El Dorado Hills median price is in the 900s. And so it's maybe not a first-time buyer neighborhood, but it certainly is consistent with their median and average sales price there. Let's look at Lincoln. Lincoln is used to feel like it was a long ways away. It's very close. You can jump on the freeway and get to Lincoln just as fast as you can jump on the freeway and get downtown sometimes, depending obviously where you are. But we have 3 times the amount of homes for sale right now as we did last year in Lincoln. So it used to be we were over here and now we're up here. So definitely more to choose from in Lincoln, but values have gone up over the last 4 years. They've increased 42%. So you used to be able to, the first-time buyers were getting a lot for their home or a lot for the market. So now there's a lot more to choose from. Does not necessarily mean that the prices are coming down, but I will tell you that the basic rule of home values is supply versus demand. 2.8 months of inventory, which means if not another home sold, it would take 2.8 months or almost 3 months to get rid of every home that's on the market. And then coming down here, 0.06, 0.05. So it shows you there's a lot more choice. And so that sometimes does lead to more of a neutral market when you look at the basic supply and demand rule. The last city we're going to look at is Rocklin. Rocklin now has homes available for sale, whereas last year at this time, you had to put your running shoes on to get a home in Rocklin. Now you've got a little bit more choice, okay? We have 118 homes on the market, decent sales, but again, it is definitely up over summer of last year. Values are up 10% over last year. So that market last year definitely did help the equity position of the Rocklin seller. The Rocklin median price is right around 700. Okay, so it is approaching a little bit more of a middle of the road for the area. But again, the 4-county region has seen an increase of days on market and a decrease in what the sellers are getting of their asking price. So these numbers are significantly different than what we experienced last year. So basically all I'm telling you is know your numbers. If you are a buyer or a seller, it's really important. The number one rule in real estate has always been location. So if you are moving into a location that's popular for one reason or another, just know that you're probably going to still have competition in this market. The cost of living, the prices, all these different things are factoring into our market. So it is hitting some areas heavier than others. And of course, those interest rates. The rates have gone from being in the high 2s all the way up to the high 5s. That, of course, is going to factor into people's ability to purchase and to see what's happening in the market. But, the funny thing is when I talk to people about rates, they say, well, but remember, they aren't what they were back in 1981. Well, no, they aren't what they were in 81, but neither are home prices. Home prices have increased tenfold since 1981, 1982. I personally bought a home in 1982 and had a 16% mortgage. But my price was not what it is today. It was a fraction of what it is today. So there's definitely a change. There's things that are still coming on the horizon. We're still looking at perhaps interest rates increasing one more time. And so if you're thinking of buying or selling, it's really a good time for you to jump into the market because we don't know what's on the horizon. And until this number reaches 3%, it is still a seller's market. Until we have 3 months worth of inventory, there's still going to be, depending on where you are, you have to price it right, but there's still a lot of activity. So I would encourage you, if you're curious to know about what your home's value is, or perhaps you want to see a home, please message me. I would love to help you. Make it a great day.